Good afternoon. Greetings, salutations. I am Lauren McMeekin, and I'm waiting on Kelly Frankie, and we will be talking OCD as per always. Here she is. So today we're going to be talking about superstitious obsessions. Hello, good day to you, sir, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, wait, can you say something again?
Hello.
Oh, I'm like, hold.
Can you not hear me?
Up in the grill of this. No, it's just for some reason it's low.
It
I
could
wonder if
be me.
maybe I need to put in both. Yeah, if somebody could give us feedback, is it just I can't hear, or is it that Kelly's volume is low?
Hello. Can you all hear me fine?
It's probably me, dude. But I don't know what to do.
Well, maybe there's nothing.
Oh wait, I know. I just have to plug it in all the way.
Oh,
I guess that's important-ish.
that helps sometimes when you
Sometimes.
do that.
Sometimes it does. This is aggressive, by the way. It's like
I love
really
aggressiveness. Show
aggressive.
me.
No, it's just the mic, but I guess it's aggressive on your end too, right? Just like,
Oh, you mean the phallic aggressiveness? Or what are we talking about?
it is. It's like a phallic aggressiveness,
I know. Oh,
sir.
thank you,
Yeah.
Charlie, for the input. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you. So, today's episode of Purely OCD is brought to you by NoCD. They're sponsoring us. If you're looking for therapy for OCD, NoCD offers effective, affordable, convenient therapy for OCD. At NoCD, you can do live video sessions with a licensed therapist. In between sessions, you can get support from NoCD's self-help tools and peer support community. Take the first step toward getting better by going to www.nocd.com and booking a free call. There you go.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Also,
I'm pretty
can I
good at
just
reading.
say you did great. It sounded broadcastery, which was great.
Thank you.
And also, um, you got the website. Last time you were kind of like, wait, what? The website. Remember it was like dot instead of .com or something? I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, that sounds like me. I mean,
It sounds like something I would do. Could have been either of us.
it could have been. We're pretty much the same person, just blonde and
Hmm.
brunette. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Salt and pepper. So,
Salt and pepper.
actually, you're the one who came up with the St. Patrick's Day thing. Would you like to announce why we decided
Mm,
to go superstitious?
yeah, so we're going superstitious because, St. Patrick's Day, four-leaf clovers.
I'm looking over a four-leaf clover.
And that's pretty much it.
That's it.
The thing is that it can kind of bleed into all the subtypes, as all of them can. We've
Yep.
gone over this, but um, this can kind of become its own thing. You definitely see it with younger folks, like with
Hmm.
kids. So
Totally.
I
Well,
don't know if you want to take the lead on it or.
no, well, I think if you want to, either way, but I was just going to say that it's one of the subtypes that I think comes up most in the sort of general population as well, even in terms of the specific rituals will happen even in people who don't have OCD. So
Like
people
knocking on wood.
knocking on wood, or you're driving in a car and it's a yellow light, so you, yeah. Oh, or just tap, whatever you want to do.
Mm.
Um, and just as a reminder, if you have questions specific to this subtype, we'd love to look at them toward the end. If you could throw them in the little question mark comment area to the right of the add a comment bar, that would be sensational so that we can not waste everybody's time by trying to go through it. It's taken a long time in the past. So, um, yeah. So,
So here we are
here we
on
are.
not superstitious day because it's the leprechauns aren't here to pinch us.
I know.
And we're not
I
wearing
never have
green.
green.
So
I never own green because all I ever wear is white and black and gray and cream and sometimes pink.
it's
Now,
it's the life uniform, like you
it's the
said
life
earlier.
uniform. You got to just wear the same thing all the time. It's the way to do it. Um,
Okay, yeah. So let's give examples,
yeah.
maybe. So
So, in terms of the in particular worries that are associated with the subtype, I think more often than not, it's just something bad is going to happen if I don't do this thing.
Right. It certainly can have flavors of the other obsessions, right? Like if I don't do this, then, um, later tonight, my thought will come true,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But I think we're going to try to talk to it in terms of just the doom, something bad will happen or bad luck will occur.
Yep. Yeah. But I think you bring up a good point that if an image pops into your mind, somebody with harm OCD might think, oh my gosh, what does that mean about me? Somebody with superstitious OCD or obsessions might think, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, then maybe this will happen. That kind of, is that kind
Right.
of what you're pointing to?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like it is mostly just really doomsday stuff. Like my family's gonna die. I always think of the step on the crack.
Don't break your mother's back.
Exactly. Right? Like that's sort of these types of phrases and ideologies in our culture. So yeah, obviously nobody wants their mom. Well, maybe some people do. I don't want my mom to break her back. I hope people don't. Uh,
No, we do not want her to break her back, nor mine.
no, no,
Um,
no breaking back,
so
guys.
and also like the mirror, breaking the mirror, 7 years of bad luck,
Mm,
walking under the uh, a ladder and seeing a black cat. See, this would have
exactly.
been better for Halloween, but
That's true.
no harm, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but this way we get to,
It was good
talk
enough.
about leprechauns and
Hmm.
Lucky Charms or something.
And rainbows.
Rainbows, love
Yeah.
rainbows.
Are they good luck? I don't. They should
I,
be.
aren't they supposed to? Oh, well, you get the pot of gold at the end of them. That's pretty good luck.
Yeah, it's good luck. Okay. So
So the
so
obsessions
those are some,
usually, yeah.
yeah, they're around that stuff, right? Like what if I will say this, this is the way mine comes out, and like I told you, I'm kind of going through a little mess up on my
Smattering.
brain on this. Yeah, it's just getting a little aggressive on me here. But it happens when I'm just generally more anxious. So
Mm,
apparently I'm more anxious right now. And it'll be something along the lines of like, oh, you didn't type that word exactly how you wanted it to.
mm,
So now, unless you go back and redo it, something bad is going to happen. And you
mm.
have to have a good luck thought in your mind.
When you type it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like a combination of a few, but I'm just giving you kind of, I guess, a
No, it's a great
spin
example though.
off of it.
Yeah. And actually, to that end, since we always love talking about our concentric circles, it's really interesting because it often comes up in the context of like religious scrupulosity that I can't. I've worked with people who have the fear that if I'm having a sacrilegious thought when I'm opening the door, then I have to close the door and reopen it while having a good thought about my, the sort of the Messiah, well, not necessarily Messiah, but the focus of my faith, right? Like
Yeah.
the, yeah.
And
So,
I think too, it's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that that's got the same sort of magical flavor of, this, and maybe this is somewhat different, but just the idea that it's something bad is going to happen because I don't redo something.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, it might not always fit perfectly into the, oh, let me turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. So
So that's okay. So just, no,
I
that's
lost you.
okay.
Um,
Go for it.
so it might not fall under like four-leaf clovers, right?
Yeah.
But even with, you know, I guess whatever you determine in your mind to be bad luck, right? Like if you think of a baseball player
Mhm.
and they're notoriously superstitious, right? Like I won, the championship wearing this hat. So now this is the hat I have to wear or else I won't win.
Right.
So it's whatever you've associated to be good luck, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the I think the main difference, and this is not to say there are some baseball players and some or some people who have these sort of minor superstitions who will go on to develop these, a full blown
Right.
OCD. But
Right.
I think that the major difference, and I think I'm just riffing off because it's not what you were saying, but just sort of as an additional point that the the main issue is when it starts to impede your life in sort of some sort of meaningful way, where you now are constantly having to make sure that you don't touch the cracks in the sidewalk, or you're having to. I'm working with somebody right now who has to redo things, or else something bad will happen to their parents, or something bad will happen to somebody she doesn't know, or like, so
Right.
it can start to really negatively impact your life.
Absolutely. And, that is a good point, is that superstition can almost be isolated in terms of, a baseball player versus someone with OCD. Um, and same with like religious stuff, right? Like there's a lot of there's rituals. I don't know why my phone keeps dying though, but it's
Oh yeah.
charged. It keeps going dark.
Oh, weird.
But anyways,
Stop that phone. Stop it.
right? Like you can't, like holding your breath when you go past a, well,
Bridge.
maybe that's not
Yeah.
religious, or by a grave, by a cemetery. Is that?
Yeah,
Maybe
I
I
don't
made
know if
that up.
it's religious or if it's
Or colors are
superstitious,
bad
or
luck.
yeah. Yeah,
Numbers,
numbers. Well, that certainly can fall into the
religious,
religious side with the number
right?
6 in particular. Yeah,
Times three.
times 3. Yep. Well,
Um,
3 is good though, right?
Three is my number, man. That's my number.
Girl, this is a party of ways. I got to be honest. Odd numbers, not about them. Sorry, a microphone.
Interesting.
Mm-mm.
Is
I like even numbers.
what's funny? I think that might be our first
Divergence.
splinter.
I know. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can repair someday. Not today. Not today.
I have my daughter's blanket. True story. It's cold. I'm frozen.
That's okay. I liked it. I liked it. Just as a reminder, because I know people are writing things in the comments thread. If you have a comment, please throw it in that question mark box so we can see it later after we talk about the obsessions and the compulsions and the ERP, because we want to see them.
Yeah. And this is also not a replacement for therapy. Did we
Oh
already
my
say that?
gosh, we did not say that. It's
That's
not a
okay.
replacement for therapy.
This is education purposes only.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So
Important.
um, I've also seen it present as like, if I throw something away, something bad will happen. Or um, if I start walking with my left foot instead of my right foot, something bad could happen. But
Yeah.
it usually isn't like something really specific. It can be very, like you said earlier on, is like it's just this bad.
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like, depending on the person, a lot of people do have very specific things
Yeah,
they're worried are
well,
going to
sure.
happen. Yeah. And it's different from one of the things that just came into mind is this sort of just right feeling where you're doing all of those things, but it's not to try to prevent something bad from happening, but because you want to feel a certain way. But they can look very similar, I think was what's interesting. If you're just observing the compulsions, somebody with this subtype versus somebody who has that desire for just right might look identical in terms of their behaviors, but have very, very different reasons for engaging in the
The
behaviors.
what ifs. Yep.
Which is important because that
Very important in treatment. Gotta
exactly,
know it.
gotta know it, man. But not in a certainty way. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a gentle no. Not a white knuckle no.
A gentle no.
A
We're just gonna know
feather.
this gently. Okay.
Just a little tappy tap tap.
Yeah. Tap tap tap.
Where were we?
Obsessions.
Okay.
Good times.
Obsessions.
I think that covers a lot of the different kinds of obsessions, and anything else that you can think of offhand.
It'll come to mind. We
I'm
said
sure.
colors, black. It's black. I'm dark like my soul.
Right. And if you wear black on a certain occasion, it might mean something, right? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, don't ever do
Yeah.
that.
Don't don't do that. Especially,
Um,
yeah, go ahead,
funny story.
please.
We're gonna aggressive sidebar really quick.
Sidebar.
That in graduate school, somebody said one of the professors early on was like, "Don't ever wear red as a therapist." Have you heard that one?
I mean, no, that I never wear red because it's too aggressive.
It is aggressive, but here's the thing. They're like, "Don't ever do that because you could really, it can trigger someone emotionally." I
Hmm.
don't know what it was. It had to do something to do with psychosis. And I was like, all right, well, now that I feel anxious about that, my first session I'm going to wear red. And I did.
Obviously. Oh, good.
And ever since then I've been damaging people
I was
for the
gonna say,
last
so how much
eight
psychosis did you
years.
cause?
It's been going really well. People keep coming back for more. Obviously, it's fun.
Obviously, it's great. You got to do the
Uh,
exposure work and just see what happens.
yeah, so bad
Yeah.
luck. No knocking on wood in our sessions either. Another sidebar.
No, no.
I've had a client do. I'm like, oh,
But it is funny because some people who come in don't have this subtype,
I know.
and
Yes,
they can playfully do it. And if you're
I
playfully
totally.
doing it, it's fine. If it doesn't,
Yeah,
if it's not something you're doing because you have to do it, then, go ahead.
right.
Do it all you want.
So should
Compulsions?
be compulsions,
We nailed that.
knocking.
Done. Oh yeah, knocking on wood. Um, it can include, yeah, I actually think of the Jack Nicholson film As Good as It Gets with his character Melvin Udall, who is constantly trying to avoid the cracks, right? Like we've been talking about, but like you can't step on the lines at all. That would be a compulsion. It's basically whatever the OCD is saying. If you don't do this, then something bad's going to happen. Then do that thing.
Right. Exactly.
It's a very clear exchange. It's like OCD is demanding something, and you're like, okay,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not going to do that.
but no, we're not going to do that. No, of course not. No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no. But I just meant
No, I know. I'm adding to it. I was trying to be the voice of the other
of,
side.
of reason.
Um, yeah. Like it could be. Mine's so weird. It's so weird.
Well,
But of
weird
course
is
it's weird.
good. Yeah.
It's just like, okay, well, don't, um, if you don't get to this part of the house
Mm,
before like the third phone ring, the ringer hits three or whatever number it is in my mind in that moment, because it's just whatever,
yeah.
something bad's gonna happen.
Something
Like the
bad's going
world's
to
gonna
happen.
explode or your child's gonna die but I don't know what it is. Just like bad.
It's just something bad. Something,
Right.
some nebulous bad, something. You better watch out.
Yeah. If you don't fold the paper by, the time Genevieve makes a sound,
You're
well,
done. Good.
you're effed. Yeah,
Too
yeah.
bad. Sorry.
Good night.
Good night. Good night
Good
and good
night,
luck.
Suzanne. Good night and good luck.
Well, so one of the interesting ways that this can show up, I think that this is an example of this, as I'm sort of playing with this out loud, is that you're trying to make a choice based on something superstitious or something that it, right? So you come up with rules in your head that you're following. For example, I'm trying to think of some way in which I've done this historically. And I remember I used to, I can't even remember exactly what the rules are. This is how messed up OCD is. But I used
Mm-hmm.
to be driving in my car as a teenager, and that if I passed by somebody as we were going, not, there was a median and then another median, right? And there's this space that you're not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to pass when
Mm-mm.
somebody else, and if you do that,
You're dead.
then something bad is going to happen. I don't know, like, or the thing that you want isn't going to happen, right? And maybe that's something that we didn't cover in the
Good
obsessions
point.
category, is
Forgot
like,
about that.
that's, this is why because we're circles, man. We don't walk a linear path here.
No.
um yeah, so this idea that, like, oh well, if I want this, or if I'm trying to figure out whether or not this thing is true, I'm going to use the signs in my environment to try to give me the information that I need.
You nailed it.
Thanks. Thanks, friend.
Man, I'm sure mine's done something like that with the driving for sure.
Right? It's so weird though. It's like, oh, I don't like that feeling. What?
Yeah, it's just, and rationally, I know that it's not going to do it. In that
Right.
moment, though, I just go, just do it because it's like right here, just do it,
Yep.
right? But that's a slippery slope. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Mm-mm.
Another one I've seen too, because we go back and forth and we're not linear, is if something bad happens,
Mm-hmm.
is to then go back in time and try to figure out where did my bad luck come from, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been when I was really mean to that person.
I better never be mean to anybody ever again in any single way, shape, or form.
Right. And then you can see how it goes into like moral screw, but it could just not too. It could just be that that's, don't be mean on a Saturday to 80-year-olds.
But 79-year-olds are
They're fine. Just
just
railroad them.
fine.
They're
They,
fine.
they, they don't need to be taken care of at all. I used to have a client who was afraid to end a phone conversation without saying I love you. Because if that happened, then and the person died, right? Like it was almost like the idea started with if the person died, then it would be horrible. So if you say I love you before you get off the phone, then the person won't die.
I feel them so
I get
hard
that,
right now.
right? Yeah. No.
Yeah. Actually, I got into a car accident when I was a teenager.
Hmm.
I don't I don't know how this all became about me all of a sudden,
No,
but
I
this is
like
the
it.
last one. And I told my mom right before I left the house, I was 16. I was like, "Mom, aren't you going to tell me you love me?" Because
Hmm.
she usually does, and she didn't. And I was like, "That's weird."
Hmm.
And then I got into a car accident. And then for years after, I was like, "All right, well, I'm never going to say that again, Mom. So you better make sure you say
You
you
must
love
always
me."
say
So
it
I
with
would always
unsolicited.
unsolicited. So if she didn't, I would call and not say anything. And she's like,
Hmm.
"Hi," and try to get that.
Wow, that's a tricky
Yeah,
compulsion.
it is. And it's interesting because only until right this moment did I realize, oh yeah, of course I've had,
That.
you know,
Yeah.
little simmers of OCD here and there.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So anyway,
that's the thing. It just sort of it pops up in all of these interesting ways. See,
yeah.
I get sort of the needing everything to be hyper organized to feel just right in very light flavors. Not because now it's about me and it's not even about the theme that we're talking about, but in this sort of
No, I'm with
general
you.
area of like where we get
The
sort
just
of the
right.
the or the light flavors,
Oh,
right? Like where
right,
they just
right.
sort of pop in and it's like, and you could turn them into a
You could.
theme, like a
But
more,
because you've ninjaed through the really big ones, you're like, nah,
you're like, I see you. I'm not doing that. Screw you. But I get that around organization. I'm like, it feels really bad that everything is not perfectly, and I know that there's a drawer that's not right, like stuff like that. I'm like, no,
oh yeah,
good. I'm gonna
it's
put something else that's random in that drawer that doesn't fit there.
shove it,
Hmm.
just stuff it in there.
Bam, aggressively.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though, right? Is that, people often talk about like jumping content. It's like, well, yeah, and you can have lots of other, of course can have content that's everywhere. But
Yeah, yeah. There's no shortage of it. That's for sure.
no.
Constantly cycling through
It's
here in the world. Lots of things that
man.
we could worry about. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
Well, you don't need to
um
believe me. You've heard me.
yeah,
Um, anyway,
same. Okay.
so
So compulsions.
pulsing compulsions.
Co-
What else? Oh, saying things like phrases, right? Isn't I'm trying to think of
Um
what I mean by that, but I know that that's right somehow.
God bless you.
Oh yeah, God bless
Is that
you.
isn't that because people think that when you sneeze your heart stops or something? I
Sure.
think it's originally a superstitious.
Yep.
I'm just going into traditional ones, but please go.
No,
Sorry.
I like that. No, no, no. Actually, now I can't think of the things that I'm like the sayings. Now I'm thinking about when you have, so my grandmother used to always throw salt over her shoulder.
Yeah, the right shoulder, left
What is
shoulder.
it? Oh my God, I just
If
did
you
the left shoulder.
spill, if
Yep.
you spill the salt.
And then you're supposed to, yep, yep.
Hey,
Hey, yep,
I've done that before many times.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What
Um,
happens if you don't do that in the lore?
well, apparently you end up wearing red, and then you turn your clients into,
You give
throw
their
them
your
into
clients
psychosis.
psychosis? That's
Yeah.
great. That's amazing.
Everyone's going to
Okay.
be saying, "Oh, I really want to see this therapist now."
You'd be an exposure for people with fears of developing mental illness. There you go.
Yeah. Good thing like a fourth of my client load is that. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Um, okay, so what else
Okay.
though? Are there other compulsions? I don't know what I was getting at with but I swear to God, there's something with like phrases that people say that
No,
it's
you're
like,
right. What is it? Yeah, it's a neutralizing type.
right, like, okay, my other grandmother, I come by this naturally, used to, when you were on the street, whenever there was like a pole, if you split, it would be bread and butter. I don't know why.
If you split, what do you mean?
Like if one of you goes to the left of the pole and the other one of you goes to the right of the pole,
Yeah.
then you say bread and butter. I don't know why,
Well, that's now my new thing.
of course.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's like things like that. Some people say prayers is compulsions. This person says
That's very
yes,
true.
absolutely.
And I think we're just trying to think of it in the superstitious side of things. Although you could, in theory, if you were not a member of a faith or if you weren't particularly religious, say them just for like a safe keeping situation, right? Like I'm just going to say this because I want to make sure my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. And in that way, it could be in the superstitious realm.
Yeah, insurance policy.
Yes.
Um, Again, I think it does fall into a lot of religious stuff too.
Hmm.
I just,
Well, there's a lot of ritual in religion.
yep, there certainly is.
Yeah.
Not saying like, so there's somebody I know, and I don't want to call them out because I'm related to them, but they won't spell the word God in a text message. They like remove the O.
Oh, yeah, the dash. Or did they just do
It'll
GD?
just say GD.
Okay. Okay.
And it's not like, oh my God. It's just like, thank God. There's
Right.
no, like, it's just like, you can't say you know what I mean? And I don't know,
Right.
I
But
imagine
sometimes
it's
that's a faith,
superstitious.
but that is a faith thing,
Not for this person,
not
though.
for this person. Okay.
No, not a
Hmm.
chance.
Because there are some faiths in which you're not allowed to write the word God or the
Yes,
name of God. Like
totally.
in Judaism, I believe that's the case with I'm not going to say it
Yeah.
because I don't want to be disrespectful, but the Y word, right? Like, no.
Yes, and it's not that, though.
No, I know what this person
Oh,
is.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just also saying that, like,
Yeah,
that there are, and you can
absolutely.
see where, yeah,
It just
there's,
grabs onto it.
yeah, yeah. Even if you don't believe in that, it's like, oh, well, but
Right.
that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Can't do that. It's going to make something bad happen, even if you don't really believe in that.
Yeah, I think okay, so here's another thing with red. I
Mm,
think red and black are big colors in superstition. I could be wrong, but,
that seems right. I believe it.
and gambling too.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what, like,
Superstition and gambling.
it's hand in hand. Good
Yeah.
luck, bad luck.
Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, so I have both my parents divorced. They both remarried full-blooded Italians. And both of them, well, wait, maybe the Sicilian version say that like if you don't have red in your kitchen, it's bad luck.
Interesting.
So I have a lot of red items from, you know, family in the kitchen.
I didn't know that.
Anyways.
I'm gonna take them all away next time I'm there. Exposure
They're
time. But
mostly
yeah.
hidden.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it tough.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Anyways.
haven't been over there in like over a year, so because of COVID.
But soon that will change.
But we digress. So
So yeah,
where did we
focus.
interrupt ourselves, Toodle?
I, the time change really did a number on me last
Oh
night.
my God. Yeah, that's so
The
true.
meeting at 8 a.m. I was like, I think it's 5 a.m. right
Yeah,
now.
it's yesterday in the morning. I don't even know when it is.
Okay, so compulsions.
So compulsions, I feel like we've done a pretty solid job of compulsions. It's
Yeah.
just basically anything that, and I think that there are superstitions in other faiths or other not faiths. I didn't mean to say that. Scratch that. Little. In other cultures. Oh,
Rewind.
take
We
two.
just did a fall frat. Okay.
Okay.
Ah!
Ah, Muppet Pratt. So but in other cultures, I can't remember right now specifically, but I remember that I worked with somebody from another culture who had explained, oh, you know what? I think actually it might be in Persian culture that sneezing is considered to be bad luck.
Mm.
And so
I
whenever
think
there
it's
would
because your
be,
heart stops.
oh, that could be, that would make sense. So anyway, the idea was that if there was a sneeze heard at certain times, that would be a problem. Like it would be an omen and would lead to choice, right? Like, well, if I was going to do this thing, but then the person sneezed, now I can't do that thing. I have to do something else because then this thing would be tainted essentially by the
Right.
superstition. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. It
Yeah.
sounds very similar to the ones that I was just talking about
Yeah. So it is
around like
interesting.
redoing things. Like
Yeah.
it's like choose your own adventure, right? If this happens, go A. And if this happens, go B.
Yep. Yep.
Cancel, clear, delete. Somebody says, yep,
See, I knew there was going to be something that people say.
yep,
Yeah,
yeah. Tick, tick,
yeah.
deleted.
Well, that's the thing. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is actually a really good transition into exposure and ritual prevention. I'm just going to
Oh,
throw it out there because it said at the end um, that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that that's the main reason why we don't do compulsions. Not that I'm not giving direct advice to you, but when I talk to my clients that one of the things that I point out is that it works sometimes, but then it doesn't sometimes. And so if we do compulsions, we're only going to be effective part of the time at decreasing our anxiety anyway, and then the compulsions take over your life. So, in conclusions, compulsions
turns out.
suck. By the way, a reminder, questions, question mark box, and we do try to stay within the theme that we're talking about. So um, we'll be happy to talk about different themes on different days. If you have any ideas, you can feel free to DM us.
Yes.
Um,
It's so tempting not to answer all of them, but we got to stay. Sorry,
yeah, yeah,
folks. Got to stay on the tracks.
we get off the tracks too easily ourselves anyway.
Yes, yes, yes. We're trying to be more professional.
Good luck.
There's a cat staring at the side of my head, and it's pretty much freaking me out.
Maud. Good job,
Could
Maud.
be bad luck.
Probably is. She's probably
So
staring at your brain. So
I've
So anyway, we do ERP, we do exposure and ritual
mhm.
prevention, where we expose ourselves to the things that cause us anxiety, and then we don't do the compulsions. So,
So for example,
for
I've
example,
had my clients go out into the parking lot with me and intentionally step on cracks. That
hmm
one can be fun, right? It's like because you're doing it with your therapist and we're trying to laugh, even though it's terrifying. But it's always fun. Like I remember Kevin one time was like pulling up. I think it was Kevin, and he saw me and he's like, "Oh, she's doing crack exposures."
that kind of crack, okay?
Yeah, not
Um,
crack cocaine
yeah,
or
no,
butt crack.
or butt crack, which is what I was
Sorry.
saying because I'm 5 years old. Because
Yeah.
I'm five
Well,
years old. Yeah.
great. And I'm okay. Let's just move on.
So
Deleted.
yeah, so deleted. So anyway, the going out and doing the thing that the OCD says don't do this or something bad will happen, or if the OCD is saying you have to do this thing, or else something bad's going to happen, then have the thought about like, oh, maybe this bad thing's going to happen, and don't do anything about it. I find, I don't know if you find this, but oftentimes people with this subtype don't respond very well to manufactured exposures. They often
You
have to,
are so right. You are
yeah.
100% right. It's like if when Genevieve, when I leave her in the morning when she would go like every day,
Hmm.
if I didn't like hug her and kiss her, if that didn't happen in that moment, like she's leaving I go, if I don't hug and kiss her, she's going to die. This is the last time I'm going to see her.
Hmm.
I have to hug and kiss her. Otherwise she will die. Right.
Right.
Then it can't be manufactured. Not a chance it can be
Right.
manufactured. Has to be there.
Has to be in the moment. So a lot of passive exposure work that's just in your daily life, it's very, very hard to make those triggers just happen, even if you specifically think something bad might happen on purpose, right? Like, so you're in the middle of your day, for example, and I don't know why I'm just going to use your example though, and like say, if you were doing exposure around that, it might look like you are trying to do active exposure around that. That might look like trying to think that thought throughout the day on
Yep.
purpose and then not do anything about it and just tolerate the uncertainty and the anxiety. That even when you do that, it probably is not going to bring up the same sort of anxiety that was brought up just when you were saying goodbye to her.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have stepping on crack.
Stepping
We
on
have
cracks or
cracks,
cracks. Crack.
cracks on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And we have
And then not doing the things that it's dictating that you do. Right.
mhm,
And
right.
then if it's telling you to make one decision because of some sort of bad superstitious thing happening, then you go like, well, I'm not going to do that. Or I'm going to do that and I'm going to taint it. Good. It's going to be bad
Yeah.
luck. I'm going to wear that red to my first therapy session and forever.
Yeah, it went really well,
Yeah. See,
obviously.
it's been going well for
Here
a
we
year
are.
now
Uh,
for you.
I wonder what would happen if I hadn't worn it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So also too, this one is like it's the superstitious stuff is so second nature. Well, a lot of compulsions are
Yep.
that there's an opportunity where you're going to likely have to undo it, right? Like you might be mid compulsion and then you're going to have to say, for example, say you knocked on wood, right? Or, whatever is like the instant compulsion. And then you go, you know what? I take that back. Like that person's going to die. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yep. Yep. I
So
was
you
just
have to
writing
kind of
about
be,
this last night.
were you?
Mhm.
Well, we Dropboxed our
We Dropboxed
download
our
last night.
minds. Yeah. So, no, that's exactly right. Is that you want to, when you find yourself having automatically done
Yeah.
the compulsion, that if you can neutralize the thought, you can definitely neutralize the compulsion.
Unneutralize.
You can take that back and be like, you know what? There's still uncertainty there. Maybe
Yeah.
everything's going to be horrible, and that's great. Can't wait.
Can't wait. So
Hmm.
pumped on it.
So
And then you
excited.
can like throw up on the side. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You can feel excited and throw up at the same time,
Hmm.
and nervous and anxious. I will say, just brief side note, I know we talked about this, but I think it's worth giving a plug to this with whoever's here today, is that when we are, saying jokingly that like get pumped about it, that there is this real power in saying, I'm going to braveheart the hell out of this. I'm going to love the anxiety, right? That's a very Reed Wilson
Hmm.
sort of approach of like, rah,
Yeah, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. I'm going to
Yeah,
eat you
I
for my
see you.
breakfast.
I see you.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Um, what else? I feel like I was going to say something and I lost because my brain isn't awake still.
Well, did I
Um,
interrupt you? If I did, I apologize.
nope, I interrupted my own brain.
Mm,
Um,
happens.
intentionally writing, the bad luck number or like writing it on your hand and carrying it with you, obviously, all
Mm-hmm.
day until it washes off eventually.
Or even putting
Um,
to some extent, it depends on whether or not you need it to be totally in the wild, so to speak, in terms of exposure. But let's say there is some trigger that you have, like the number, I don't know, what's a bad number, Kelly?
666.
666. So now you're going to write 666 on Post-its and put them all over your house. And then you're going to create a reminder in your phone that says 666.
And
And
fold a little piece of paper and keep it in your wallet,
yep, yep.
or put it in places around a store. I've done that.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah. So basically, I think we've covered all the compulsions,
Yeah.
haven't we? Ish.
Yeah, I think we were talking about exposures though.
Oh, that's what I meant. I meant
Okay.
exposures,
Yeah.
but my brain isn't
Yeah,
functioning. Was there
we
anything
did.
else on the exposure front?
No, it's just you get creative, So
Yeah. You just want to stick it to your OCD. That's really it.
yeah,
You
stick
see
it
an
to them.
opportunity, just really,
Stick it to the
truly,
man
right?
or woman, whatever you want to call your OCD.
Yeah. And exposure work is scary. I did just see something about that as the feed is going by. And the reality is that the work in OCD is learning how to live with terror when there isn't rationality behind the fear. And the it's possible, but it's not particularly likely that you take the leap and then you feel all the feels. You feel the heart racing, and maybe your heart's up in your throat if you're like me, or your stomach maybe all the way up in your throat if
Hmm.
that sometimes happens.
Or you feel like you have to pee. That's me.
Oh,
Just
see,
saying.
there you go. Peeing. Some people get really bad stomach stuff. I don't get really bad stomach
I
stuff, I
don't
don't
get
think.
that, but it's
Mm-mm.
pee all day,
Yeah,
every day.
yeah, good for you.
I know, right?
I don't know why I just said
Good
that.
thing I made friends with the bathroom. That's
It's your safe space.
it's my safe space is the bathroom.
Yeah. By the way, I did also notice in the feed, we do have a lot of different subtypes already on the books for purely OCD. If you want to check them out, they're on both of our pages under our Instagram TV tab. And we also have a purely OCD YouTube. So you can check us out on either of those. We have one for POCD, we have one for sexual orientation OCD. We've done most of the subtypes at this point.
We're kind of drawing at straws here at this point. Well, they're not straws, but
No.
it's the less, maybe like the less talked about,
Yeah,
the
which is good.
splinters.
All the splinters. And then,
Um,
yeah. So I think that does cover exposures and ritual prevention for the most part, right?
I think so.
I
Do you have
know.
any questions? Yeah.
One thing I was gonna say is with the response prevention, you cannot do the thing. Like I have a client right now who it has to redo things. I might have mentioned earlier, has to redo things to keep from bad things from happening. And there's all sorts of things that need to be redone throughout the day. And if they don't do the compulsion, if they don't do the redo, sometimes there are these invitations to mentally compulse later about whether or not the bad thing's going to happen. And
Mm,
so, just a reminder that when we're doing exposures, the most important piece of that is the response prevention, and that can look like the things that we've been talking about, like not doing something that the OCD is expressly telling you have to do, but also it can look like disengaging from rumination, not reassurance seeking. I can certainly see that coming up in this context. Like, you don't think this bad thing's going to happen just because I didn't do X, Y, or Z, right? We don't want to have you doing that because it essentially means that you just got triggered. It's not
right.
exposure work unless you do the response prevention piece.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll only just prolong this entire process for you.
Yeah, which nobody likes that.
No,
No.
no one
Mm-mm.
wants to do this longer than we need to.
Nope. Nope.
And if it's too hard, I'd like to add on that. If it's too hard to do the active exposure, you can always modify it, which
Yep.
I think we talked about last week, but
Mm-hmm.
just to reiterate it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like limit the number of compulsions or delay the compulsions and all of that important thing to
Yep,
reiterate.
absolutely.
Shall we go to the questions?
We shall. Do we
Okay.
have any?
I think so. I think some came in throughout. Hold on.
Lauren had texted me earlier this morning. Oh no, we didn't get any questions submitted ahead of time this time. Must be a bad omen. I was like, yes.
Somebody wrote magical thinking, but I'm not sure. There's no question with that. So if they're
Yeah,
still
this is
here,
magical thinking.
a lot of magical thinking.
Yeah.
There is one that says, have you guys ever mentioned or heard of compulsions with numbers? And I know that we sort of were talking about obsessions related to numbers, but maybe what this person could be talking about is doing certain, like I have to touch this a certain amount of times in order to make sure this bad thing doesn't happen, and or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of clients where it's like they have to do it in sets, right? Like they have to wash their hands, say 3 times in the right direction, and then they have to go back and do it 2 more times, right? Like 3 sets of 3 or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or
and
tapping, right?
Yep.
Tapping,
Yep.
big time.
Mm-hmm. So
Hopefully we
the
answered
answer
that.
is yes. Hopefully, if you're here, let us know if we didn't answer that one for you. So yeah, that's the only real one that's specific to this subtype. Although there's sort of a general one that I want to address just because it's, I think, a good one to talk about in general. Can OCD be only obsessions, or do you have to have compulsions? So one thing I just want to start off by saying is that per the DSM diagnosis, you don't have to have both. However,
Which just blows my mind.
yeah, I don't know. The DSM man sometimes, but I think,
Dude, my cat is just... Sorry, go ahead.
does Maud have obsessions and compulsions?
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another story though.
Yeah, both. So in terms of, most people do have both. The trouble, of course, is that sometimes people aren't aware of all of the ways in which compulsions can be manifested. And so sometimes
Right.
we see like mental compulsions or reassurance seeking that people just aren't as aware of in terms of, oh, this is a compulsion. Whereas, and some of the things that, a lot of the things that we're talking about today fall into this category of overt compulsions that we can, that that we would think of as compulsions, sort of stereotypically.
Right.
Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that mental rumination, it's like a pure obsessional OCD is it's really kind of a misnomer, right? It's like you can't just be obsessing. The reason why an obsession exists is because of some type of a response you're fueling it with, which is mental rumination likely. So that's why pure obsessional is, I think Stephen Phillipson came up with that.
Yep.
Coined that term, which is great. But just
because
to be
it brings
clear,
awareness, but yeah, but it
totally,
isn't.
that it's not hand washing, it's not checking, but it can be mental acrobats going on. And you're basically a gold medal gymnast, mental gymnast. I didn't execute that
No,
joke.
I'm totally with you though, because if rumination were Olympic sport, man, whoa.
Watch out, USA.
Watch out, world.
World.
We'd be top of the line, my friend. I think.
Dude, the cat is itching. Can you hear her? So loud.
I love that I put my ear to the microphone. Like that was what was going to help me hear.
Dude.
Really, Lauren? I can't hear her. No.
Sorry. Okay,
No.
I thought she could hear her.
No
She's
apologies.
trying to get her OCD medication off of her ear.
Oh, Maud. Anyone else have any questions out there in the world? Please feel free to. And now we're at a point where we probably could field them just on the comments, but
yeah,
no pressure if we've hit all the questions with this one. Oh, then we
Okay.
can look at Maud because she's adorable.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't. How often have you seen it with like adults? I'm just curious where it's like this is the main.
A handful of times. I've actually probably, in a weird turn of events, seen it equally in adults and children.
Right?
But I can see where it usually comes up in kiddos because it does
Yeah,
involve a lot of magical thinking.
definitely. I see it a lot in emotional contamination stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
I can
right?
see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that's a wrap, right?
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us, and we will look forward to bringing you another episode next. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, so just a reminder to anyone who is interested in asking questions, we're happy to address sort of a topic, but we're trying to keep each topic sort of unto itself so that if people need to reference it coming back, that they go to the right place, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anything
I'm
else?
sure we addressed a lot of these at some point. No, I
Probably.
think that's it. Just remember to check out NOCD.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for sponsoring this episode, NOCD. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're grateful for all the work you do.
Yep. Super
And
cool. And
we're grateful for all of you watching.
yeah, thanks for being here. We will be back next week. I don't think we have a plan yet on what we'll be talking about, but we'll keep you posted in our stories.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, adios, friend.
Adios, friend. Goodbye.
Bye.